Welcome back to Talk Shonen. I'm Turtle.
I'm Jared.
And Kyle is producing again. Thank you for joining us again this week. We decided this week we're going to talk about a topic near and dear to our hearts that have left too soon.
Very soon.
Yeah.
And there's way too many of them.
Oh, there's a lot. So Jared came up with this topic of...
It is animes that only lasted one season that deserve more.
Correct. And the biggest thing I realized from thinking about it and then looking into it, way more of the animes I like were single season. Animes
some of the best animes period were single season.
Some of the animes we've talked about on this channel already.
Yeah.
Were single season, and I thought they were
I thought it was at least two.
Yeah, at least, if not more. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
Blew my mind.
The one we're talking about in particular is Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
So Gurren Lagann, what we talked about in our Giant Mech episode, we thought was 2 seasons. We both were under the impression that it was 2 seasons.
It's an absolutely massive tale of epic proportions.
That spans years because there's that whole time jump in the middle.
Yeah.
And usually time jumps are in between seasons. And they did it in the middle of a season for Gurren Lagann.
Yeah. And
which is screwing with my head.
The way it transitions throughout the show as it goes is so rapid for what was actually a fairly short anime.
It's 27 episodes. I mean, it's, the standard is 26. They did a couple
movies.
It's one longer
I think they
than the
did
standard.
2 movies, Childhood's End and something else.
They might have. Yeah, I didn't see any of the movies. Whenever it comes to movies, I'm kind of iffy on OVAs also. If you don't know what an OVA is, that's an original for the animes.
Yeah.
It's like a standalone kind of story. Yeah. I'm kind of iffy on those two. Some of them are great, like My Hero Academia just had really good two really good ones. But
some of them do really well and some of them are not. I loved the Cowboy Bebop movie.
Yeah. That's
Cowboy
Bebop is another one that was just one fucking season.
This is a staple anime.
Probably one of the greatest animes that have ever existed.
And it's on my list. And it's still I know people that are still obsessed with it today, including me.
Yeah.
And it was one season.
But the whole thing with Cowboy Bebop is the ending of it wrapped up.
Well, yeah. So Cowboy Bebop
so beautifully
finished well.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them did not. Some of them just kind of planned for 2 or 3.
I'm getting emotional thinking about Spike.
Oh Jesus! Don't do it.
Such a good ending.
So let's just start from the beginning.
Anybody who's watched the show knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, right. Oh God. Let's just start. Mine are kind of in order, but not really.
Yeah.
So here's
this isn't like a definitive top 5 like we did for Max. But this is just 5 shows I think for each of us that we really love.
There's only one of them I can definitively say I must have more of. It's my number 1.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Gotcha.
That's going to be my reveal.
So let's see what was that? What was one of the first ones that popped into your head when you did it? Whatever was at the bottom of the list. So
well, one of the first ones was Trigun.
Trigun.
I love Trigun.
That was on mine also for shows that were just meant to have one season.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's super good, but the Trigun universe had way more.
Oh my God, so much more
to go for it.
I have literally Trigun, Cowboy Bebop. Those are 2 of my favorite animes just period. When people go, what are your top 5 animes? Those 2 are in my top 5.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Yeah. And it's insane that when I think about it, they just went for 20-something episodes.
Yeah, those are.
They developed such a great world. In a movie. Yeah. So they developed such a great world, such great characters, and just especially for Trigun, Vash the Stampede,
oh my God,
Wolfwood. You got it's
a world, a literal world, and
even Knives.
Even Knives, and you could go to other worlds in that universe.
Yeah,
there's a lot that could be explored. And they wrapped the story very well. Yeah. For Trigun, it had a beginning, a middle, and an end. Yeah. It was a pertinent story that had its mark.
It was the tale of the humanoid typhoon Vash the Stampede.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's kind of more like the tale of Knives.
Yeah, in the end, but if you think about it, what I would love to see is the prequel stuff. I wish they would have how he got to the point. They glazed over it near the end, when Knives came into everything, and they were just showing how he, wreaked so much destruction, but never costing human life.
Yeah,
but But yeah, like I would have just loved to see all of that.
Well, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
So that's why that's on my list also, or that's why that's
like that's why
it's
on the list.
That's why it's on the list. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's one of yours?
My probably the one that I put at the very bottom is a newer anime. Okay. It was I think around 2016 it came out. Mm-hmm. It's an anime called Drifters.
Okay.
And that
I don't think I've ever seen that.
You've never seen Drifters?
No, I don't think I've seen it.
It's super cool. It has a really, really interesting art style.
Okay.
Like it's very oversaturated, hyper violent.
All right.
And it's an interesting concept because basically what Drifters does is Drifters follows like famous warriors from our time or from our world.
Okay.
And it's basically when they die, their souls are plucked and taken to this other world.
Like Valhalla style.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
And so they're basically brought to this other world where like there's like elves and like monster races and things like that. And they become kind of like the ultimate warriors in this one. Hilariously enough, if from what I read about like the mangas and stuff is correct, I think Hitler's in it.
Oh my god! This is taking a turn.
I think Jesus is the bad guy. Like he's the bad guy.
Does Kyle love this show?
Who else? Who else is it? Well, actually, hilariously enough, the one empire that's trying to fight against like the bad guys.
Yeah.
Is the empire that was founded by Hitler. And it's
so weird.
It's so weird. Yeah, and they're like Nobunaga Oda's in it.
Is this like Nazi fan fiction where they're like, we're the good guys in the afterlife?
Because it's because there's like they come in like waves. And they're just referred to as drifters because they don't belong. They just show up and they're way stronger and smarter and tactically more sound, and they have better ideas of technology. And I mean, technically it's just great people because there's also like, I think Plato's in it.
Okay.
Then Hannibal gets taken.
So it's not necessarily good people.
Yeah, it's not good people, bad people.
It's just like the cream of the crop, mentally, physically, whatever.
Joan of Arc got taken over. She's on the bad guy side. Like a lot of historically important, like good people in our world when they got pulled over to this one.
History is full of
skews, yeah.
There's lots of bias going on in history, both good and... Is that me or was that
I think that one was you. I'm not popular.
Sorry.
There's no bias in history?
Yeah, lots of bias. Kyle says there's no bias in history.
Yeah.
And he is 100% correct. There's absolutely no bias.
History is not written by the victor.
American textbooks are 100% accurate.
That's why they don't have to be rewritten ever. But no, so it's a really cool thing because like...
blinking SOS. Or trying to.
I didn't see that, but it's a really cool show. Like I said, it's hyper violent. Like the fighting in it is really, really cool.
Yeah,
but like
it sounds really interesting.
Like Nobunaga Oda, who is I mean he's referred to as the Demon King or the Demon Emperor in Japanese history. He's one of the good guys.
Yeah.
And even the good guys are like, they're like loosely, they're loosely the good guys.
Vaguely good.
Yeah, like Butch Cassidy. And the Sundance Kid, they're brought over into this, and it's cool because you have mostly like samurai and like Nobunaga and like Plato and stuff, and then you got Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. You got a famous pilot from World War II and a famous naval officer from World War I.
Speaking
for
of
the
famous
Japanese
pilots, do you want to hear a fun fact?
Go for it.
Totally unrelated to anything you just said.
Go for it.
But kind of nerdy. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
He has a brother who's in the Royal Air Force. His call sign is Obi-2.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
But can you imagine being Obi-Wan's brother and you are forever number 2?
Yeah.
My God.
You kind of have to.
He has to have a good sense of humor about it.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, he probably looks at his brother every now and again and be like, I've definitely killed more people than you in real life.
Ewan McGregor's like, in movies, I've killed more than you, though.
In movies, I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or however he speaks.
I don't think that's his voice.
It's not his voice at all. I can't.
Hello there.
Fun fact, I do accents pretty well, and I cannot do a British accent to save my... If you held a gun to my head... It'd be like a weird bastardization of Australian and like Irish. I can't do it. I can do Irish left and right. Like I was born there.
I can keep that going for a while.
I can do Australian.
I think it's because British has all the different dialects and they're so like different and like, but they're close to other things. And if you've done other accents before that, it's easy to like fade into it. But yeah, so that's
back to actual anime.
That's basically Drifters. Drifters is a hyper violent thing. A lot of really really cool things to it.
What's that on now? Is that on like Hulu or something?
I watched it on Funimation.
Okay.
Yeah,
I used to have Funimation.
Yeah,
but I'm colorblind. I'm gonna tell you like a legit.
Yeah,
I had the Funimation app. Loved the selection, but I'm colorblind, and their menu
doesn't show up.
I could not read.
Yeah.
Anything on their menu, so it was always a crapshoot. And it got to that point.
Their app in general is just sketchy.
Yeah.
Half the time it doesn't work. It keeps telling me, they're like, hey, if you want to watch this show, subscribe. And I'm like, well, what's the money I pay you every month?
Yeah.
Is that not subscribing? But then if I go through a different screen, then I can watch it. So their app is a little bit funky.
That's janky.
But other than that, I mean, it's a great thing. But yeah, that's where I saw it. So if you do have Funimation, I think it might be available on Hulu. But Drifters, I definitely suggest it. There was supposed to be a second season. It's just disappeared, and I think that's what happens with a lot of these. A lot of them.
So one of mine is also bottom of the barrel. This is like the least. I loved it stylistically. It's really good.
Yeah.
Deadman Wonderland.
That was my number 4 too. Yeah. The next one up on my list was Deadman Wonderland.
It's so good. It's got a funky style to it that I really liked.
Oh my god, yeah.
Threw you off. It's really kind of dark and nihilistic on some of the view of things.
Super dark.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
But as soon as the whole beginning of that show is building up for something big.
The fact that if you haven't seen Deadman Wonderland, the general concept of it is a massive earthquake struck and it destroyed most of Japan.
Yeah.
And they are recovering from that, and because of that, some weird things happened. But
the government's super shady.
Yeah,
and
it's like were they involved? Were they the reasons that caused all this?
A lot of weird, subtle implications. Like maybe this was them. Maybe it's not. Maybe they are trying to do what's best for the country.
Maybe they're just trying to cover up what they know. Yeah,
there's super. Yeah.
But the coolest part that happens. Well, not the coolest. Probably the worst thing is there's like a super max prison. That doubles as an amusement park.
It's like a it's like a supermax prison, but like think Running Man style, where everything is a contest and the world is constantly watching.
Yeah, the contest is for your amusement, and the people that lose at the contest most of the time die.
Almost certainly.
Yeah,
and so it kind of has those Running Man notes, but it's very good. A weird style, and you basically have some rando kid.
Yeah, because he's like 15 years old.
Yeah, he's a kid.
And the only reason he's in there is because he's framed for murdering his entire class.
Yes.
Because he's the only one that survived. And they're like, okay, we found you covered in your classmate's blood.
Yeah, clearly you're the one that did this. Yeah.
You tell us who did it. And a man with a giant smiling face.
And so I'm not going to ruin much because they kind of barely get into this by the end of the season 1. Yeah. They definitely planned for a season 2.
They just never did.
Never did it. The implication kind of being like someone framed him on purpose.
On purpose.
Because he is kind of fucking special also.
Yeah.
And it just...
He's got the thing in his chest.
Yeah, and when you start to get there, towards the end of the season, there's lots of lead into this big thing, and then it...
Yeah. Really, I mean, because... On top of the whole amusement park style prison, you then have the underground superhuman fighting ring, which is the Deadman fights. Yeah, which hence the name of
Deadman Wonderland.
Yeah, it's where it's people that can control their blood, I guess, because everyone is blood based.
Yeah, it's something genetic, something that they never really go into too much detail because. I feel like that's another one of those things they were going to lead into.
It was going to be in the manga. In the manga, I think it has an ending. I think it's finished at this point. And I know that later on in the manga, you start finding out more why can some people do this? Why is the main character special? Why is the little albino girl, why is she special?
But the show only vaguely starts to touch on these things. Yeah. Most of season 1 is set up for this world. And then it ends.
It's a whole lot of setup with the last, I'd say, 5 episodes being incredible. Yeah. And then it ends, and then you're like, I can't wait. The last 5 are the
payoff, and you're like, yes, give me more. Let's hear the rest. And
it's clearly setting up.
Yeah.
Like the choices that the main character makes at the end, you're like, you wouldn't be doing that unless you meant for more to be coming.
Absolutely.
And then nothing came.
came.
They're still talking about it. They still like. And
hopefully
that's the thing
they
with
still
animes.
do. Yeah. Some of them take years in between.
It's like D. Grayman. D. Grayman, between D. Grayman and D. Grayman Hallow, there was like 10, 11 years or something like that. It was crazy.
By the time it comes out, I'm not even going to want to watch Deadman Wonderland Season 2.
That's the bad thing that ends up happening is these people they make it, people want it, but the issue is that there's usually a big disconnect between American fans want it and Japanese fans might not have liked it, because Japanese fans a lot of the times don't like the same thing that Americans like. Like, shonen's huge everywhere. Yeah. But shonen's very, very, very big over here. Yeah. And it's kind of just compartmentalized over in Japan.
More niche over there than it is here.
So which is why some shows you're like, why wouldn't you pick it up? Like, everybody wants it. No, everybody that wants it. Yeah. Everybody over here wants it, not everybody over in Japan, which that's their audience. Yeah. That's who they're basing everything off of.
All right, so what's your next one?
My next one? What did I have as my next one?
Yeah,
I had Deadman.
There's no actual order for this for me, so, and we've talked about like 4 of my 5 already.
Yeah. Servamp.
Okay.
Servamp is actually another one. It's another cool little shonen. It's about things called servamps, which are servant vampires.
Oh, okay.
And what it is it's not like normal vampires where it's like if they're in the light, they die, you know, things like that. Yeah. Basically what it is
are they Twilight vampires? Like, do they sparkle in the light?
No, they transform into something.
Oh, what do they transform into?
Usually adorable animals.
Yo, let me tell you something. Those aren't vampires. I have this whole look, I read the Twilight books. I'm about to say some embarrassing shit.
Snake people.
I read the Twilight books, and they're actually pretty good. But you have to immediately remember just the idea of vampires, throw it out.
They're not vampires. They're snake
unicorns.
People. They're unicorns?
They have magical powers. They sparkle in sunlight. Okay. Strong and fast. Yeah. They're unicorns.
Very pale.
Very pale. They're unicorns. They're immortal. Their blood grants immortality that gives you superpowers. They're unicorns. Yeah. If you just stop thinking of them as vampires and just let the magic take you, it's a great ride. Other than Bella. I hate everything about Bella.
Well, she's a terrible character.
She's the worst in character. General. The rest of them are written so well. I just don't understand.
It's not even just the movie. All right. But so before we got sidelined on Twilight.
Let me just revamp for a second.
Okay.
You get it because we're on vampires?
Yes.
Okay, so we said Gurren Lagann, which I want to talk about a little bit more. Yeah. No, we did talk. We covered the Gurren Lagann.
Yeah, we covered Gurren Lagann and the other thing, yeah.
Deadman Wonderland.
Yeah.
My brain, I don't know why I can't hold these in my head. I'm having the hardest time keeping these. Oh, and Cowboy Bebop. So we covered everything but my number 1 and my honorable mention.
Okay. Well, here, let me tell you a little bit more about Servamp, and then we'll go into
I want to hear about Servamp.
So basically, they're
servant vampires.
They're servant vampires. How they end up linking to a person is the cool thing. The only blood they can drink is their master. That's the only thing. It's kind of like a symbiotic relationship between the two, and the way that you get a servamp,
so like cats, kind
of, is by naming it. Hilariously enough, the main character, the main servamp is Kuro, who's also known as Sleepy Ash. They're all named after they're all connected to one of the 7 deadly sins, and he's Sloth, and he's the oldest of the servamps, even though he doesn't look the oldest, and he turns into a cat. He turns into a little black cat, and he gets named Kuro, which
this is all a metaphor for pet ownership, because
kind of,
you work to feed these things that just literally sit around your house all day.
I mean, he sits around his house all day because he's Sloth. Yeah. He's super lazy. He doesn't want to do anything. Yeah. And when he fights, it's he grows these freaking awesome claws, and then they imbue part of their power to the master, so the master can defend themselves.
So they fight for they fight for their master?
They fight for their master, yeah.
So this is like cockfighting.
Kind of,
if the chickens were vampires, who fed off your blood specifically.
Yep, that's exactly kind of what ends up.
It's not
like premise. It's not in a Pokemon way where it's let me go challenge other things. There's a family of them.
Okay.
And part of the family is kind of assholes, and they're kind of evil, and they kind of want to They kind of want to do what the father wanted to do.
Does like the world have servants, or is only this family?
It's just a very.
So this is like an Illuminati family that have vampire
servants.
No,
it's of servamps. The family are the servamps.
Oh,
and then they bond with people outside of it. Like one of them is
okay.
One of them, probably my favorite one, is Hyde. He's my favorite servamp. He's of, I think, Pride is his like attachment. And he's a little cute little hedgehog in his like in his light form.
Okay.
And then he bonds with a child prodigy musician.
Okay.
And so it's like they all bond with different people to kind of like help them, accomplish whatever they want to accomplish. And, just people that they liked that they're kind of like, give me a name. And then, hey, guess what? Things are going to be real good for you after this.
Okay.
And as the show goes on, like the battles start getting crazier and like the plot really starts developing when you find out about what their father was and what he wanted. Okay. And how maybe not all the servamps are living up to their full potential at the point. Okay. And when you start seeing what their full potential is, you're like, holy shit.
Okay. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yes. And then it just ended.
Okay. Wow.
And it was a cliffhanger ending once again. So I'm like, I need another fucking season. I need just at least 2 more episodes of that just to see the ridiculousness. But from what because every time I have a 1-season anime, I just start researching everything that I can about it. And from everything that I read, I'm like, all of that stuff would have been really cool to see.
Yeah.
Can we please get another season?
Someone, throw you a bone there.
Yeah. Okay. So that's another one of mine.
Nice. So what else you got on your list that's not honorable mention or number 1?
Okay, so probably my number 2 is this one's not a shonen, it's a seinen.
Okay.
So it's for slightly older.
Ooh.
Slightly older guys. But
Bible Black.
It's it's Blood Lad.
Blood Lad. That sounds familiar. I don't think I've seen that
Blood
one either.
Lad is so... I mean, it's a cool one because of like it once again follows vampires and werewolves and things like that.
Seeing a theme, Jared.
I mean, I watch mostly shonens, and seinens are just shonens for older guys.
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, so it's basically, it follows a girl who steps into the demon world. Okay. So she goes into the demon world and she runs into... Basically, like, it's split up into like sectors, and like there's the boss, like the strongest guy in that area, kind of runs it. So she runs into Staz, who is a vampire, and he's a straight up otaku. He just loves everything Japan and loves everything anime and like video games and like, things like that. Okay. So he has like mangas and like PlayStations and things like that. So when he finds out that she's from Japan, he's like, oh my god, this is so amazing, and he's talking to her. But the issue is she's a human in the world of demons. So as they're walking around and he's not paying attention, at one point he's trying to get her back to the portal to go back to the human world. He turns around, and when he turns back, she gets eaten by a demonic plant.
Oh shit.
Who basically just like digests her immediately, and then when he punches the plant to get her out, the plant just spits out bones. So she's a ghost now.
What?
Yeah. So she dies, I think, 15 minutes into the first episode.
Wow. Okay.
And so now she guilt trips him into agreeing to help her become alive again. Yeah. Like find some way to revive her. Yeah. And then like they meet like his old friend who's another boss of another territory who's a werewolf. And then so there's a lot of really cool things. Hilarious parts from this. Yeah. A lot of like pop culture references. Like at one point he starts doing a Kamehameha.
Oh,
and gets knocked out.
Seriously?
Yeah, he's Kame, and then the guy hits him, and he's like, probably for the best, copyrights, and then it goes along, and then it just goes through. Yeah, it's a really, really funny, really, really great show. I mean, it's awesome. It's a lot. It's
that
a lot
does
of
sound
fun.
Pretty good. Yeah. I'm gonna have to check that out too.
Yeah, that one I know for a fact is on Hulu.
What was that one called?
This one was called Blood Lad.
Blood Lad.
And it's another one with a cult following that keeps pushing. Okay. And there was rumors that in 2021, there might be a second season.
If we ever get to 2021.
Yeah, exactly. If the world doesn't end in the next couple of months.
2021.
Maybe we'll see a season 2 of Blood Lad. So let's go with your honorable mention. Yeah.
My honorable mention is kind of a technicality. It is. I think it is technically a single season.
Okay.
But it is definitely not. So it's Tenchi Muyo. It's an old school harem anime.
Yes.
But but
it has so many spin-offs.
It has so many single seasons that are like there's Tenchi Muyo Universe, Tenchi in Tokyo, Tenchi Muyo GXP.
Yeah.
They are, and I think there's another one I'm probably forgetting.
And they all have the same characters.
Same characters, roughly the same plot.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of like retellings of the same story in different ways.
Universes, like they're canonically different timelines or like whatever. So like
you can get away. It's kind of like
some
saying
of them are not great. Like,
it's kind of like saying Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Are technically one season because they're separate shows.
No, so I'm kind of forget some of it. I'm not including Tenchi in Tokyo.
Okay. Tenchi in Tokyo is straight up just a harem anime.
It's just a harem.
I don't think there's even any combat in that one. I think it's
like
just
3 fights and they're bullshit. Tenchi Muyo GXP is more focused on like the space cop end of things. It's a really cool one.
Yeah.
But Tenchi Muyo, I think it's Tenchi Universe or Tenchi Muyo, just Tenchi Muyo. Mm-hmm. So like the OG first one.
That was just Tenchi Muyo.
Just Tenchi Muyo, yeah. Is actually really good.
Oh no, I saw that when I was younger, and I used to love Tenchi Muyo.
Yeah.
And then I got confused when I was like, is this the same show?
Yeah, it's so hard. When I was young, it was so hard to keep track of anything. So
we didn't have the internet to tell us how should I watch this.
You're making us sound real old.
We are old.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
We're older than Google.
So that's why it's my honorable mention, because it's really like 5 shows in one.
Yeah.
Or 5 seasons, depending on how you want to look at it. And B, it's really good. I really enjoyed it, but it's not quite the same. Like
it also doesn't have as much like memorable stuff that happens in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like none of the characters are as memorable as Spike and Jet and Vash
Ryo-Oki,
and Wolf. Ryo-Oki,
the Cabot that turns into a fucking spaceship is like awesome.
Yeah, I mean there's characters that stand out, but I mean, Ryo-Oki versus Mei.
Also, my biggest problem with that show, Mei. Yeah, that's true. My biggest problem with that show was that Tenchi never went for Ryoko, the space pirate. He always went for stuck-up bitch princess. Yeah, and I hated that. I was like, you have so many options that are better than this stuck-up cunt of a woman.
They always go for the tsundere, man.
I hate tsundere women.
Yeah,
I hate, or however you say tsundere.
Tsundere.
Tsundere. I can't say it. I don't know how to say tsundere.
It's fine.
Tsundere. With a Scottish accent's why I can't. I told you. I only do like 3 accents good, and it's like Scottish, Irish, and Australian, and none of them say tsundere. Tsundere.
It's tsundere.
Oh, it's tsundere, lad. I don't know.
Yeah.
So either way, the point is, he never made the correct decision in any of the 5 shows.
That's the problem with harem animes. Harem animes are always like the better girls are never the ones that get the attention.
Ryoko was a hot, crazy, super powerful space pirate.
She was super crazy.
Oh, she was super crazy. Yeah. I got a thing for crazy bitches. So I was always like, go with that. Or the crazy mad scientist. Or this freaking strong, independent police woman.
Yeah.
Instead, you went with the princess, who has a completely flat personality.
Yeah. And it's just kind of a bitch to everybody.
And she's kind of a bitch to everybody except Tenchi because she likes him, which is the sign of a bad character. Not like written character.
Yeah.
Like a person. Like if you know someone and they're mean to everyone but the person they want something from, they're a bad person.
It's like the opposite of Noelle from Black Clover.
Yeah.
It's because Black Clover Noelle is almost specifically mean to just Asta.
Well, that's but that makes
that's tsundere.
That's but not this. I can't even remember her name. Princess
Bitch. It's
Princess
fine.
Bitch. Yeah, fuck her. That's my honorable mention.
Okay, my honorable mention is a show called Karneval.
Okay, that one's I haven't seen too much of it, but I know what you're talking about.
It's a really cool show. It has a really interesting art style, which is why I think I like it.
Okay.
Plus also like the powers and the fights with Kafka are pretty cool. But I think one of the things that really drew me to it was the etherealness of like the art and how like everybody's eyes have like they use like fucking 14 colors in everybody's
style
eyes.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Like legit, I'm with you.
Yeah. That one, like I was just rewatching it. I got like 5 episodes in and I was like, I'm like, I still like this, but I don't like it as much as any of the other ones that I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why that's just an honorable mention. I feel like people should watch it, and it does end on a super cliffhanger because, Gorecki, one of the main characters, is just like, I want to go to this school and learn how to be stronger. And they're like, all right, see you in a bit. And then it's done. That's just
that would suck. That sucks as an ending.
And he's an amazing character. He's one of the two mains. Okay. And to see him be like, oh, cool, you want to take steps forward to become stronger and better and, be able to help your friend and keep him safe. And then it's like, nope, that's it. You're done.
I didn't want. I just realized I might have rushed us through this a little bit, but only because.
Okay.
My number one. All right. I can probably rant on for like half an hour.
My number one. I'm in the process of rewatching it for the third time. I think.
Yeah, I'm probably somewhere in that range with my number one.
Okay. What is your number one?
My number one. My all-time favorite anime.
Really?
Period.
Okay.
Bar none. It was one season. It had a complete story. It built a world that could have done 100 more seasons. Yeah. And they only cover a very brief adventure. Okay. Outlaw Star.
I had that on my list, and then I was like, Turtle's going to talk about this. I'm going to take it off.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. If you've ever decided to watch an older anime that
is just great.
It's just absolutely amazing. Okay. I'm going to set the scene.
Outlaw Star has a cult following. For a
reason. Following. It's amazing. Yeah. So this is a Neo-China future. So that's stylized. That, money's called Wongs, and it's very very Neo-China style.
A lot of Buddhist influences and a lot of
lots
things.
Of Buddhist influence, Buddhist magic. So we talked about the grappler ships a little bit on one of our other episodes.
We glazed over them in the mech episode
because there's spacecraft, lots of spacecraft, and then there's grapplers, which are spacecraft with highly flexible and powerful crane arms. Yeah, with knives and guns and all kinds of other things, grappling hooks,
and they are a necessity for going up against the magic users.
Yeah. And then there's space wizards.
Yeah, and they're literally space wizards.
Literally, not figuratively, space wizards. And on top of that, there's a race of tiger people called the Kataro.
And the character that is in the main character's crew.
Yep. Yeah.
Is hilarious because
she's the best.
She's a warrior princess.
They're like were-tiger people, but they're just like tiger people. And there's so much to this show. They talk about,
and she's super proud too.
Oh, yeah,
she loves the Kataro.
There's a heavy history that they just vaguely touch on between the Kataro, outlaws, space pirates, the actual unified factions who you almost never deal with in the show. Yep. It's like. If you like regular television, it's like Firefly meets Buffy. Yeah. It's I don't know how to it's so good.
And the main character in this,
Gene Starwind.
Yep, Gene Starwind he was for a really long time, I'd say until I watched Trigun, which Trigun is if I was gonna pick, Trigun's my number one anime of all time. That's my favorite. Nice. It's my favorite thing to watch.
It's so good.
Until I saw Trigun, Gene Starwind was my favorite anime character ever. Oh, he's such a badass.
And I forgot to mention that, but it is also basically like a space western. Yeah, it is dueling. There's dueling in ships. There's dueling on land. It's not just ship combat. It's not just magic combat. They have a thing called a caster guns. Yep. They're guns that fire magic bullets. One of them takes some of your life essence. Yeah. And there's so much they talk about, they throw in. Yeah. They have hints.
You have living beings that power the ship.
Yeah. There's so much they could have done further down the line, and it stopped with season 1.
Yeah. It just fell flat.
And it was so good. The characters were well developed. They all had personalities. Now, granted, it is old.
It's very old.
It came out with 96, I think, something like
that.
Yeah,
and that's once again. I think it came out here.
Yeah, here in 96.
In 96,
it is old. I just started rewatching it once we started talking about this. Yeah, the animation is still good, but it's
better than Escaflowne and original Gundam. But
it's still aged in the last 20 something years.
Yeah, I watched like the first 4 episodes of it not too long ago, and I was just like, oof. Mm-hmm. I'm like, I need to be in the right mindset
well, that's the same
to
thing
do
with
this
like
one.
Cowboy Bebop. Like I tried rewatching Cowboy Bebop, and I was like, this is
Cowboy Bebop has its own style though.
Cowboy Bebop leaned heavy enough on the style that you don't notice how the animation has aged.
Yeah, and because you're focusing more on what's happening.
Yes. Outlaw Star is in that direction. One of the things I really enjoy about it is its style, because the ship designs are all drastically different from each other and weird. Everyone wears completely different outfits. There's very little of it is like
Gene
cut and paste.
Starwin's freaking his giant trench coat that's more like a cloak.
I was gonna say his trench coat poncho thing cloak.
Yeah, it's more of a cloak. It's giant shoulders and just a long ass cape.
Absolutely.
That he just throws off willy-nilly.
Like robot races and stuff, and like it's really good, and they could have done a lot more with it. And the whole story is like this mysterious girl and the outlaw star, and this like quest to basically figure out what's going on, and then stop these space pirates who are trying to kill her, but the space pirates have wizards.
I mean, it's really difficult to fight those wizards.
Yeah, and the wizards are like legitimately like, hey, you know how things are magic, scary, and dangerous? Well, pirates have it.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And if you don't have a grappler ship, you are fucked.
It always reminded me, so they have a specific chant they always use, and it reminded me, this is super weird, but remind me all the time of Uncle from Jackie Chan Adventures. They do that, but they do Haswa Sunfa.
Oh, yes, and they do it just really quick.
Really quickly,
it's like a really
fast,
quick
and they just every spell they use Haswa Sunfa. And you're just like, oh no, and then it gets louder and faster. You're like, oh no, it's so good.
Yeah, and the greatest part is like, because Gene is he's a good like counterbalance to like the magic, because he's just like, I'm gonna shoot you.
Yeah,
but
he's like, how about a bullet? Pow.
Yeah, but the amount of caster bullets that he has is always limited.
Oh no, yeah. So
and he
like
has
super
the one,
expensive.
and he's like, I can't use this.
Yeah, they're super. So they like, it makes it real. Like caster bullets are expensive and hard to get.
Yeah, they're difficult to come by.
Yep. And there's another guy that has a caster, one of the MacDougals, who are the big douchebag competitive outlaws. Mm-hmm. And he has like a caster wand scepter thing.
Yeah.
And they're super rich, so he's blowing through caster shells.
Yeah.
And Gene is like got 3, and he's like, I can use
and
these 2.
And he knows that one of them in particular he can't use.
One of them is like, I can use a number, whatever they're called. I think it's number 3 or something like that.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Number 19, whatever they always give them a number.
Yeah.
That's another one of those things they could have delved into in the show, and they never really did.
Yep.
And it's like, if I use the number 3, it takes a third of my life.
Yeah.
If I use 3 number 3s, I'm die.
Dead. Yeah, exactly. But it's insanely powerful.
Yeah, but like, hey, but anything you hit with the number 3 is no longer an issue ever again.
Yep.
So like, that's kind of a thing. I don't think it's actually number 3. I think it's one of the higher numbers. But it doesn't matter. There's also ones like, they kind of imply later on, like one he uses, I don't know, at some point in the show, it's like a 14 or a 12 or something. Mm-hmm. And it hits and then is a fireball. And you're just like, yes, that's what I want. Like,
it's literally just a spell slinging guns.
Yeah, it's so good. He's got light shields, like hand glove light shields to block other bullets.
It's a really fun mix of Western style gunslinging with Eastern style magic.
Absolutely.
In space
with ships that then also grapple. One of the things I love about it even more with the grappling ship combat is they make a point of showing that ships spew out camera pods so they can get a picture of the whole battlefield.
Yeah. And
it makes all of the near omniscience in space combat makes sense, because they're watching the battlefield from the third party perspective,
which is what also made their ship so special. The reason why it was so OP.
It wasn't that they had the camera pods and that's what made it OP, because a bunch of the ships launched camera pods.
Yeah.
It was that they had Malfina as the AI of the ship.
Yeah.
And she was like a living ? Woman.
Yeah.
And she was part of the project.
It was how she processed the information. That's what gave them
she was like, she was like in a tube when they were flying and fighting.
Yeah.
She was being the AI of the ship. And there are other AIs in this, and some of them are really good, like Horus from the original Space Pirates ship.
Yeah.
but like they're not quite on the same level.
Same
as
level
Milfina.
as Milfina, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a really good ship that had a lot of heavy implications and a lot of story it could have gone with.
And the design of like the
everything.
ship, like when I think about, like whenever I try to like come up with like ships in my head, the design of the ship is just so ingrained in my brain that like I always picture that one first, and I picture how the cockpit looked, and I picture how like the hallways for everything, like it sticks in your brain so deep.
Yes.
And I think it's because you want to see it so much more.
That's every ship in that show has a different style. There's very few things that are standardized. Like the MacDougalls, who are the big bad guys, have like a gold ship, and they're very angular, pointed arches. And I can't remember her name now. I just watched it last night. The space pirate that kind of starts them off on this with her ship, Horus.
Oh yeah,
and her ship is just a black hemisphere with 4 legs.
Yeah,
and like
pirate ship is very like small spheres. Ship comparatively.
And the pirate ship is the massive spheres that are connected by like junctions, and like it is very cool, and there's lots of really artistic choices for designs on stuff.
There's nothing that's real cookie cutter about any of the things that are in it.
The only thing you get that kind of starts falling into cookie cutter is the Tiger Race, the Kotaro stuff. Yeah. Generally follows a certain theme. Yeah. But you don't even see too much of that.
They're only like highlighted in a few.
Yeah, when they're on the one space station or something like that. And there's not a whole lot with them. Other than the side character that ends up joining the crew. Yeah. Who's definitely like the super aggressive tiger chick. Yep. But she's on that ship, so you don't see a lot of that Kotaro end of the stuff. Yeah. All right, what's yours?
Okay, so the one that I'm like I said, I'm rewatching again for like the third time. And it's a really fun one to watch. It's full of a lot of really interesting characters, a lot of really cool visuals. It's a show called Code Breakers. Okay. Have you ever seen that one?
I have not. I've heard of it.
Okay, yeah. Basically, Code Breakers, it follows Sakura, who's a girl who is on the train, or not the train, a bus, and witnesses 7 men fully engulfed in blue flames and a boy her age standing in the middle of it. And she runs back to go investigate, and there's nothing there, not even ash. Yeah. So she thinks she's going crazy for a while, and then that boy shows up in her school, and then she starts interrogating him. Yeah. And it's Rei Agami, and he seems like, probably one of the coolest dudes. Like everybody immediately likes him. Everyone thinks that they're going to start dating, and it's like this whole thing. Yeah. Until it's shown that he is a code breaker who is basically a super powered assassin that works for the government. Right. He basically, the code breakers, they report directly to the prime minister. Okay. And the prime minister dulls out people that need to be killed. And he has a very, very specific view on the world. He's such a cool character because basically when they know that Sakura knows that he has that ability to basically produce blue flames that burn people into nothingness. Yeah. When they find out about it, they're like, "Are you going to get rid of her?" And he's like, "Yeah, most likely."
Oh shit.
And in like how it goes on, and this is all from the first episode, so I'll spoil at least this. He's telling her, hey, if you tell anybody anything, I'm gonna kill every single person that you tell. Wow. And then when he ends up using his powers on like a whole bunch of guys and burning them away, she's talking about how she's gonna tell people, and he literally grabs her by the face and uses his power on her. She's just what's called a rare breed or a rare kind that negates codebreaker powers.
Of course she does.
Of course. I mean, it's an anime.
What kind of plot armor bullshit is this rare kind?
So she...
you're immune to my powers. I should probably pump a baby into you. Or whatever they say.
Yeah. But yeah, so at first he was kind of like, that was strange. And like she passed out because she was like, I'm going to die now.
Well, yeah, if I thought I was being engulfed in pure incineration flames, I might have a few reactions also.
But yeah, so
some of which involve peeing myself.
Yeah, that probably did happen. They skimmed over that real quickly. But yeah, it's just he's especially Ray Agami, the main code breaker. He's designation 6, he's the newest code breaker, which leads people to think that he's the weakest, but he's actually probably one of the strongest. And he's just a very interesting character because of the fact that there's the side that he puts out for everybody else, who's very caring, very kind, very funny.
So he's a sociopath because he can put on the mask really well.
Yeah, and it's a very noticeable change. Yeah, because when she's talking about I'm going to expose you. Yeah, he's just like he literally grabs her by the face in public. Yeah, on the street. Yeah, because she's like you can't hurt me here, and then he's like going to. He's like I can't. Yeah, he's like I can't. He's like not only can I kill you, but I can kill every single other person that's here. And do you know why? Because I don't really exist. Yeah. So I can do whatever I want.
What's the government going to do for him keeping the secret they want him to kill people for?
Exactly. And that's what makes him such an interesting character because really he switches on a dime from, hey, I'm going to protect you to they're evil. They need to die and you'll die if you get in my way.
Enjoy this based on that alone. Like characters with that kind of complexity usually appeal to me. Like one of those ones I like that's totally unrelated to that is Saitama from One Punch Man.
Oh yeah,
but not his personality as much as much as the transition in the anime where you see him go from like derp to like super serious.
Oh yeah,
time to punch you once.
Serious punch.
Yeah.
Yeah, evaporated.
But like that juxtaposition. Yeah. Between like I'm fooling around
and how you can tell in the art style, like with Saitama, like you can tell when he goes from his derpy like I just wanted to go to the store because I have a coupon to when the shading gets heavier and like the wind comes out like everything.
But that whole show is a really good commentary on animes.
On anime. I mean, it's making fun of Dragon Ball Z.
It's making fun of all of them.
That's when they created it. They created it to make fun of Superman and Goku. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was the whole thing. But yeah, and Codebreakers is kind of like that because you can tell because you'll see Ray. He'll just be smiling and his eyes are like everybody else's, and then it'll switch and his eyes have they're narrowed, and he has like this glare to him, and you're like, oh, you're in kill people mode. Mm. It's really interesting. It sounds
like something I'd really enjoy. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun to watch. There's also multiple code breakers, all with different powers. Yeah. And how they're done and how they're animated is super cool. Okay. And each one has like a different personality. Like there's the and we talked about anime archetypes in previous ones, and there's definitely anime archetypes in this. Like Ray he's different because he's a very, very interesting character. Okay. But Sakura is the normal. Like, everything must be done for right. So that's her. Yeah. And then there's Toki, who is the stereotypical rival to Ray. Yeah. Where it's like, it seems like his whole personality is to just be like, I'm going to prove why I'm better than you. Mm-hmm. So, and then his power is magnetism. Okay. And it's done super cool. Like, every time he uses it, like, you can see the metal particulates pulled out of the ground. Yeah. And it starts going through that, and then that surrounds. Mm-hmm. So it's a really cool art style. Nice. Then there's the kind of doofy guy who likes cats.
I can't stop yawning. I don't know what
this is one of those days.
It is really is.
But there's like a doofy guy that kind of likes cats, and he's just obsessed with like a cartoon cat. He's
just like surprise cat. Ka!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he has like sound manipulation.
That's cool.
There's another guy who's very, very serious. Always everything. He has light manipulation. And there's like an older girl who's like kind of like the punker kind of person, and she's a punk rocky kind of like I don't need anybody.
I got what you meant by punker, but it sounded weird.
Punker into pucker. But yeah, so and she has like shadow like abilities where she can create physical manifestations of shadows. So and those are just the ones that exist as code breakers currently. Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot of really cool stuff, and then there's as the show goes on, there's more things with like the government and maybe the government that they're working for had something to do with other things. So as the show goes on, it develops really well, but it just ends, and you're kind of like. And you can tell that they wanted to go further.
Yeah, and it just didn't.
Because there's a lot of reference to like the big bad. Yeah. And you never get to see the big bad.
This whole episode has made me depressed because it's reminded me of all the shows I wish I had more of, and now I don't.
Yeah. Do you know one that it ended like how it was supposed to, but it was still only one season that we never mentioned?
What?
Samurai Champloo.
Yeah, that one did, but you know what? Samurai Champloo.
Yeah. It's difficult because of the
my mouth doesn't do the thing. Was a complete, like, I feel like it wrapped itself up well enough.
Yeah, I don't need another season of it. I feel like it had everything that it needed to have, and it gave me everything that I needed for it.
Absolutely.
It had the samurai hip hop. Everybody's listening and beatboxing, and people are breakdancing. Yeah. It was every single part of it was perfect for what it needed to be.
Like Gurren Lagann kind of fits into that same.
I think it's just because it. How can you get bigger than the stakes that Gurren Lagann ended on?
But I think the issue with Gurren Lagann is it went so fast that you feel like you missed something.
Or in our case, we feel like we just created
seasons out of nowhere.
20 episodes out of nowhere. We're like, there's no way they could have gotten from they got out of the ground.
It's a fever dream of an anime, and it's amazing.
Yeah. That's the thing with anime. Anime is... I mean, especially since a lot of people that love anime, it's because it resonates with them on an emotional level. Resonates.
Yeah, he said resignates.
It can resonate too. It can
sending
resign.
in its resignation.
Exactly. It can quit with them on an emotional level.
We also wish to quit life, young viewer. Like what?
Yeah, but it resonates with them on an emotional level, and when you find something that you connect with. Like a really good show that you're like, I am emotionally invested in this story. Yeah. And then it's like, nah.
Yeah,
we're done.
Well, that's why I lost Starcom, because I was by the end of that show I'm like, these are my people. And then it's done.
It's like Firefly.
It could be like if we just did this whole episode and then we were like, and that's how they ended. And that should be the end of the show.
No, we gotta tell people where to find us.
Yeah. So thank you for watching the Talk Shonen podcast. We're at 55 minutes. Shut up. You don't know. You're not even paying attention.
Kyle's just voguing right now.
Kyle is dancing and he's doing 2 fingers. Okay, back of the hand. 2 fingers on the back of the hand.
He wants you to steal third.
And he wants me to break Jared's neck. Oh, I got it. Nailed it in one. Anyway, so thank you for listening today. I'm Turtle.
I'm Jared.
You can hunt us down at Talk Shonen on
It's
Twitter.
Talk Shonen on Twitter, and then Talk_Shonen on Instagram.
So, Talk Talk.
I'll say it. It's fine.
Yeah, you do it.
So Instagram Talk_Shonen, and on Twitter at Talk Shonen.
I am a professional narrator.
I know.
I speak and read for a living.
It's just something about
and these words they hard. They hard. They hard.
These words they hard. So if you're watching this, you can find us anywhere that you listen to podcasts. If you're listening, you can find us on YouTube. Just go to youtube.com/Rum Runners Entertainment.
If you have other one-season animes you think we missed that definitely should be mentioned, or animes you personally in general just love for any of the reasons we were mentioning before,
definitely leave it in the comments.
Feel free to comment, message us.
You can send us an email. It's talkshonen@gmail.com.
Or just add us on Twitter or something.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know. Yeah. We want to start a conversation. Embrace your fandom. Enjoy your nerd shit.
Yep.
We love you.
Love you. Have a great day.
Peace.